Donahue, I think. So I think Captain Donahue used to come and read stats, and he would pull kind of the most serious ones for and just share them with the group. So I'm kind of following suit. There's a couple of things that I'm going to highlight. There's really only one because you guys' stats are very low, but we pull homicides, sexual assaults, aggravated assaults, robberies, burglaries, and accidents with injuries. And I go back 30 days. Obviously, we would know if there's a homicide in your neighborhood. There has not been a homicide in the last 30 days in Los Paseos. There was one sexual assault reported. It was investigated and it was unfounded. Aggravated assault, there was one. I'll circle back to that one. Robberies, 0. Burglaries, 2 vehicular burglaries. And I think they were a shopping center over there. And 1 commercial burglary, same shopping center. And no accidents with injuries. This neighborhood is awesome. So the aggravated assault, it was a couple of Saturdays ago. Does anybody remember that? There was a bunch of cops and it was over on Pegasus. You familiar with that one? Okay. So it was an officer that was assaulted. Somebody inside of a house, young, early 20s, I think. He, under the influence, started wrecking his house. Police were called. I think there were some outreach workers that responded, and as everything was kind of getting settled and resolved and the officers were getting ready to leave, the suspect reached out to shake the suspect reached out to shake the officer's hand and then pulled the officer in and put him in a headlock. And so the officers had to fight him off. Um, he broke free and ran to the house and barricaded inside. So it was just all the police presence. It was just to get him out of the house. So they eventually got him out of the house and took him into custody, and he was booked for battery on an officer. So that was the aggravated assault. So it wasn't like there was some bad guy running around the neighborhood beating people up, only beating up the cops. So I think that so I was on scene for that one, and I got to share this one. And I knew when I saw it that I was going to share it at this neighborhood association meeting. The other captain who I was with, who I went and relieved because it was day shift that dipped over into swing shift, and he goes, "Man, look at that guy over there. That's the life." And there was a gentleman in his front yard, about 4 houses down, watching all the commotion, and he had his little Yorkie dog in one hand, and he had a Pabst Blue Ribbon in the other hand. He was just like he was watching an episode of Cops live. So, anyways, that was just another feather in the cap of Los Paseos neighborhood, in my opinion. It was just just funny and cool. But aside from those stats, you guys are super safe here. Obviously, you're super involved, and I'll take any other concerns that maybe didn't come up in our database or didn't come up that was reported that you guys might have that you just see around the neighborhood. And if it's something I can help you out with, I'm happy to do it. So, floor is yours until you're done with me. Anyone? Yes. Best group. I can hear you. On Los Paseos, I haven't had any complaints yet.
Actually, there is something I just remembered. So I know the clubhouse has been broken into a few times. I believe it's been a homeless person. They come in and they cut the fence. If you notice, that pretty gate we had over on the other side is now plywood because he was using the decorative panels to climb up over the fence. Um, and he would go into the pump room and steal chemicals, and I mean, he did. I believe it's not a resolved issue. I think it's still happening periodically because the association is trying to figure out what it is that they can do to keep this guy out. So there's that's one instance. Um, I believe it has been reported. One time he was caught, and I think he was. I don't think they filed a report on him, so I don't know where it went from there. But I believe he's still around. He's still doing it. I don't know with what frequency, but my understanding is it's not resolved.
Okay. So, and I mean, neighborhood watch stuff. I mean, you guys, it seems like the neighborhood lost a lot of these neighborhoods, but Los Paseos in particular, super involved. Um, Self-help first. I mean, do you guys have an alarm system for the clubhouse? alarm system for the clubhouse? Did it go off? Uh-huh. Oh, so he went over the fence and went into like a storage closet or something and stole some stuff. Okay. Hmm. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that looks pretty easy to break. I would probably look at putting an alarm system on that or connecting that outbuilding somehow to your alarm system. Floodlights are a great deterrent. If you guys are, I'll look up this. I mean, I only go back 30 days and look the strats up. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Connect us and we'll talk more about it. But in the meantime, I mean, I'll mention it to the patrol team out here that they need to come drive through here a few more times a night, maybe. And I'll be in there. I'll be in the back for a few minutes afterwards. We could chat more. Anyone else? John? You text me tonight at 10, all right? That was my new supervisor.
Hello, thank you for coming. So my question is, my son and I, we have a couple neighbors who like to party, and the noise with the music, how loud it gets. What time is the curfew? Because the last time it was so very loud, I had to go over there and knock on the door and ask who the adult of the party,
Uh,
if I could speak to the adult of the house. And the gentleman that came out said that he got a permit and the permit was good until 11 p.m. I'd never heard of that before, but I didn't want to call him on it right there.
yeah. So it's a myth. It's funny. Until I became a cop, I thought it's 10 o'clock. You can be loud until 10 o'clock. And yeah, that's not the case. There is no, curfew or time on when somebody can turn their music down or leave it up loud until. Um, but we won't dispatch those calls anymore because there's so many of them unless somebody wants to be the victim and actually file a complaint. So usually people, hey, I want to be anonymous, but there's a party going on over there and it's way too loud. Well, we can't do anything. We could ask them to turn it down, but they're going to turn it up when we leave, and we can't enforce any disturbance laws, the penal code, unless somebody wants to be a victim because it's a 415 penal code. So you have to have a victim of that. So if you want to be a victim of it and actually sign the complaint and hey, I want to be a victim of a disturbance because this person is having loud music, he's not turning it down when you're asking to, I'll sign the complaint. Uh, then we'll absolutely go out. And if they don't turn it down and we have to go back, we will go in and confiscate their stuff inside them.
If if that does end up happening, would the victim be disclosed at any point of the citation process?
If he wanted to go to court, then you'd have to go to court. So, I mean, just Constitution says we have a right to face our accusers, and that's kind of the rub, right? Nobody really wants to deal with that, so they just take the noise, which is not. I'm not saying that you should do that, but it's on the person who's being disturbed. If, okay, do I want to sign the complaint and go through the process if it goes that far? But on the other hand, they're just going to keep doing it if you don't. So anything, yep. Especially if more people want to sign a complaint. And honestly, it probably would be easier on the people signing the complaint because the whole strength in numbers thing, you're not singled out. You're the one being the tattletale or being viewed at by this person. So No, I would definitely group together on that. Anything? Gosh, my favorite NA.
Greg,
No, please.
Greg, speak to the mic.
Oh,
Are you happy with the budget, San Jose's budget for a police department going forward? And it has to be, it can be a very short answer. Thank you.
I'll defer to the chief.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll stick around.
Thank you all. Thank you, Captain. Next, Mr. Casey. Our council member. Thank you. George.
Yeah, please, George. The crowd, thank you. So for those of you that don't know, I'm the council member, was voted in November. I actually grew up a couple streetlights north of here, went to Burnell Junior High. This area is what I consider my hometown. Happy to be here. I'll be brief. The thing that we're struggling with or battling right now on the council is we're dealing with the budget. We're in a budget deficit. There's a $45 million proposed or potential budget deficit for this year. And assuming we clear that out, we have a $52 million budget deficit next year. And so this past Tuesday at the council meeting, we passed the mayor's budget message, and we're on the path towards, I guess, resolving, hopefully, our budget crisis. We won't know for certain until June how the budget message is going to shape up, but we're in that process right now and making the sausage, so to speak. So that's pretty much what's taking up a lot of our time. The question was about the police officers to Captain Payne. Public safety is my #1 priority, and I know a number of the council members, and I know Mayor Mahan's as well. So I suspect that if there are any cuts, it'll be minimal. The goal is to preserve whatever we have right now in terms of public safety. So just to, touch base on that. We're also leaning in and putting more emphasis on, or at least not taking our foot off the gas when it comes to our homelessness, our unhoused population, and the EIH homes, and all of the efforts that the mayor has tried to, I don't want to say impose upon us, but stress that we're in a crisis and it's time for us to react like a crisis. So right now, it looks as if his budget message and his goals as it applies to the unhoused population are moving forward. But in terms of right now, there's no updates other than the fact we're trying to figure the budget out. So if there are any questions, happy to answer. No? Good. Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
Wait.
I know the houseless people, it's a big concern everywhere and actually has a big impact everywhere, right? And there has been several efforts. But there has been a bunch of rumors about people occupying the emergency interim housing from people by people that don't belong to this area. There are several people that we have seen regularly here, and they're still there, right? I run through the neighborhood every day, and on weekends, I go to the Cayore Creek to run longer distances. And there's an RV park next to the health hospital right there.
Yeah.
Has been there for a couple of weeks. They have a bunch of trash blocking all the sidewalk. There's a sign that says that you cannot park more than 24 hours there.
Yeah.
And I think there has been several people besides us reporting them, and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
I know it's a bunch of topics, but just probably you're already aware of them. It's really a concern in the neighborhood, I believe.
So one of the policies that the mayor is including in his budget message, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it, it's somewhat controversial, I'm supportive of it, is the notion that because right now we're asking folks, if we build an EIH home, a certain area around it, radius around it, we're asking, that's the first priority is the people in that immediate area, and we're asking them to go inside. Unfortunately, you have a percentage of them that don't want to go inside. And so the mayor's policy is that if the third time they're asked within an 18-month period, we can actually arrest them. And the goal is not to put the unhoused into jail. Oftentimes, these individuals are suffering from some sort of mental situation or drug addiction. And the goal is to get them into some sort of social service with the threat of potentially going to jail or being cited or dealing with the criminal system. So that's one new tool that the mayor is trying to include in our toolbox to address these types of situations. Again, I don't have a silver bullet answer for you, particularly when it comes to the RVs. There's some issues, laws in terms of DMV, and not to mention, oftentimes these RVs don't work, and we don't have a place to put them, right? So what are we going to do if we cite the individual? And we can cite them and write the tickets, and they don't care, right? The tickets will pile up. We're trying to find more spaces. Ideally, a large acreage is what my proposal is, so we can put these folks on that land and get them their own space. But we have the Olive program, which has come out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. They're identified 30 sites where there's a lot of RVs, and we're going out week by week and moving them. The problem is they just move around half a mile this way, a couple blocks that way. So we're not really solving it. We're just giving people some temporary relief in the areas where they've been for quite some time. So until we find and identify a place where we can put them, we're just shuffling people around at the moment. So, but we do have 1,000 new EIH beds that are coming online. And with potentially the threat of being arrested, we are hoping that more folks, particularly those in the immediate area, will go into the EIH homes. We have the Branham complex that was built, and this is some of the same issues. It's been built, and you still have folks in the immediate area that are intense. And the whole reason behind building these EIH homes was that you had encampments in your neighborhood. At least you'd have the folks go inside, and you wouldn't have to suffer and deal with those problems. So without the threat of arrest potentially, we're not going to really solve that issue. But as I said, there's no silver bullet, but it is top of mind. Public safety and dealing with the unhoused are my number one issues, and I know that's the mayor's as well. And we have a council right now based on the vote that he received on Tuesday that's behind him. So I just be a little bit more patient. I know it's frustrating, but we're trying to make some progress on it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Yes, ma'am.
On internet, sorry, all the shelters were up north in San Jose.
Yeah.
Are there any shelters here in South San Jose?
Oh my goodness, yes. You mean shelters or EIH homes? So there's a distinction. Shelters, EIH homes are the tiny homes, and in this immediate area, within about a 2-mile area, we have roughly 50% of the entire city's EIH homes here in this area. So there's plenty of them in this area, comparatively to speaking.
No, he he doesn't have any tiny home yet. I think he applied for, but with the VTA being on strike, he cannot make it to the North San Jose. He has no car. He's sleeping very close to our church. And the reason I think he's sleeping close because we have the food pantry 3 times a week. And he rented a storage close to save his sleeping bag and a pillow and other stuff. But there is no way he can make, even when it's pouring rain, he cannot make it to the north, to the First Street or Santa Clara. I don't know where the shelters are.
Yeah, so there are, for example, hotels that have been taken over and made into facilities for the unhoused. And there are, I guess, shelters. They're just different names. And there's a number of them in the north. So what was he doing here? Did he just come here to visit and then got stuck when the VTA had a strike?
Yeah, he came from a different state.
From a different state? I don't want to get myself in trouble and discuss that. That's a frustrating issue for me. One of the problems I have with the way we assess what's going on is we have a lot of nonprofits that I think have a conflict of interest, and the reports that we're getting is that 85% of the unhoused are from San Jose, and I don't believe that. And I think, let me just get off that topic, but yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know this person, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Go ahead, Karen.
She's unmuted. She unmuted herself, but I'm not hearing it. Is there a speaker for the?
We don't hear you, Karen. Should be over. No, that's fine. We were hearing her earlier.
What about now?
There you go.
Okay, That's so weird. In order to hear you, I had to unplug my headset. In order for you to hear me, I had to plug it back in. Anyways, thank you so much for attending in person. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So I attended, well, Greg and I are on the it's called an EAG for the Bernal Monterey EIH and the Via del Oro EIH. And I wasn't able to attend the whole meeting, but the other day a question came up. Nobody from the city was there, which is unusual. I mean, the old council district, Helen Chapman used to come from Sergio's office. Nobody was there from the District 2. But a question came up, well, why shouldn't somebody from your office also attend this meeting? It's quarterly and it's a great idea because, and John, thank you. John's in the audience. I heard you were there and thank you for bringing that up. You know, these EIHs are so close to the border. And it's really important for both council members that are kind of dealing with this border situation. As you said earlier, we have 50% of all of the EIHs in a very small area, and it kind of goes back and forth between District 2 and District 10. So I'm thinking it might be a good idea for either you or a representative, whoever is your person that's dealing with homelessness at the minimum, to attend these meetings. And I think that's a really good idea. And
Yeah, no, I do
to
too. And just to let you know, Councilmember Campos and I are working together on a number of issues, recognizing that our districts border one another and we have some shared interests. I would have to, just out of deference and out of respect, reach out to her first and make sure she's okay with it. But we would have no problem coming and being a part of any meeting that has mutual interests involved. So I appreciate the heads up. I'm not sure when it is or when the meeting is, but I'll reach out. But you said that she wasn't there either, or none of her.
Yeah, so I think there's a conflict. The problem is they've been having the meetings on Tuesdays, which is a problem with city council meetings. And so we did talk about changing the date, and I think Home First is the one that runs the meeting. It's and I would also like you to see the difference between the CAC for you know what I said, Via del Oro. It's the CAC is for the safe parking and Via del Oro. This is called an EAG for Bernal and Rue Ferrari.
Right.
Okay. They're run very differently. The one we attend is run by Home First, and it's basically just information share. They share the statistics and stuff like that. I think it'd be really interesting for you to see the format of both. And I know there's been some discussion about changing the EAG to a CAC format, which is more community led. So I think it would be really good for you or a representative to attend to just kind of see the differences, and let's figure out what is a better format.
I'm happy to come, and particularly if they move it off of Tuesday, I'd be happy to come myself. But I'll just let you know we are coordinating with the housing department to figure out a way to take in community questions on a monthly basis and have those questions answered. I'm going to do it through my CAC, and I think Councilmember Campos will probably do it through, I forget what you guys call it, EAG or what have you. But,
Emergency Advisory Group is what they call it.
EAG. And so, but I'm interested in attending hers, and maybe us having an overarching umbrella meeting with the two districts might make some sense too. And I think beyond just the unhoused situation, we have some businesses along this corridor. We're thinking about starting a business association that reaches within D2 and D10 along Cottle all the way through, and here along Burnell all the way through. So coordination between the two districts is a good idea. So point well taken.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do we know what the percentage of tiny homes are actually occupied?
Oh, they're occupied.
Are they all occupied?
Yeah. No, there's huge demand for them. As I mentioned, we have about 1,000 more that are going to be coming online here soon. Not just in our neighborhood. There is a doubling virtually of Rue Ferrari is going to have a number that come in. The Branham one that just came in Monterey, and there's a number of others that are going to come in on Cherry over in D9. by the Bass Pro Shop in that area. There's another one that's being built there. I think the benefit, as we had discussed earlier, is when they do get built, that the community is assured that within a large radius around them, they can be no encampments or anything, right? There's got to be a benefit for us spending that much in terms of our tax dollars to build these facilities. There's got to be a relief and a benefit to the community that it serves. So we're working very hard to enforce that no encampment. We're actually going to start putting signs up that allows the police to come in if someone is encamped where there's a sign. We don't have to wait. We can actually, move them along immediately. But it's a challenge. Like I said, there's no silver bullet solution. All we can do is put our foot on the gas and keep plugging away and trying to address it. I think the first step was acknowledging that it is a crisis, and I don't think we had done that until our current mayor came into place. And so I think the first step was recognizing we have a crisis, but now deploying the resources towards it to address it.
Since they're all full, do we have a sense of what the success rate is for these tiny homes? So, because they've been here for a while. So do we have a sense of their success rate?
When you say success, are you implying, are they cycled out of the
Because
homes
that's
and-
the intent, right? Is for them to be temporary housing until they can get on their feet. That's my
Yeah.
understanding. And then they can find the next step in
So-
how to be independent and
I don't know the percentage, but there are success stories and we hear about them and see them at our quarterly meetings. And I think with you coordinating with campus, Councilmember Campus, is going to be really positive to kind of put it all together and answer questions like that better going forward also. But there are success stories, quite a few.
Yeah, if you give me a few minutes, sorry, if you give me a few minutes, I can pull up the last stats. I didn't get them from the meeting I just was at the other day because I attended late, and they usually send them out a little later. I'll kind of, if you put you on hold and I'll look those
Okay.
up. I feel like it's something like 50 or 60%. Okay, but also I wanted to bring up, there's a question in the chat from Mike Van Dam. He was talking about a 40-acre site between farms for sale on Monterey near Coyote. It's a flat grassy site where RVs could go. There's electricity nearby, but probably not much else. So just wanted to bring that up. I know the environmentalists would probably push back on that, but you take it for what it is.
Thank you, Karen. And David Gomez?
Thank you, everybody. Councilmember, I just wanted to remind you of the Homeward Bound project, where the individual that might be out of state might be able to apply for the Homeward Bound project and be able to be sent back home.
Oh, so this is going back to the gentleman you mentioned that may be from out of state. We do have a program, as he mentioned, the mayor has rolled out, where they will identify family members in another state, and we will provide transportation for that individual to be reunited with their family members. So if you wanted to make him aware, if you do get a chance to speak with him of that program, it may be something you could take advantage of. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
By Lowe's in the tents.
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Well, we have what's called abatements that occur from time to time. Beautify SJ will come in and ask those folks to move. A lot of them will be offered, for example, the Branham facility. And so we try to offer them an opportunity to go there, but we do move them out of certain areas from time to time. Especially when there have been issues and the community has spoken up. At times whether it's trash or theft, it becomes kind of there's an urgency to sort of move things along.
is the homeward bound
Yeah.
program only for out-of-staters they can be
Oh,
sent
no.
back, or is it for local? Because I've heard the success rate is pretty good.
Well, the goal is to reunite individuals with their family members, and the fact that this may be over some sort of distance, won't prevent us from providing the transportation for them to get there. But the goal is to reintroduce them to their family members, whether or not that's local, some distant away or out of the state.
Is that part of the plan that Mayor Mayhem is working on with because I know the governor he likes that plan. He wants to implement it.
Oh, the governor does?
Well, I thought. Did I hear wrong?
Was it? I don't know. No, I wouldn't doubt it. I know that the governor and our mayor have been kind of going at it.
Well, I
for a
did hear
variety
that,
of-
but I thought they agreed on this one.
I'm
because
sure they would. It's not, I don't see why anybody could disagree with it, right? It's an opportunity to reunite folks and get them back into their social and family structure. A lot of times folks are suffering from drug addiction or some mental situation, and families lose track of where they are, and reunifying them and getting them into that support system is probably the best opportunity they have to get better. Yeah.
I guess we have one more from David Gomez. We'll take one more question. Go ahead, David.
So, council member, this is actually coming out of the general fund. It's a $200,000 pilot program that the city is running.
Oh,
But
it
it is very similar to what the governor has
okay.
done in the past.
Yeah. Thank you, David. David's been at the city a lot longer than I have.
Thank you.
That's it. All right.
Any
All
other?
right.
Thank you very much,
I
Councilmember
appreciate the
Casey.
opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here tonight. And
My pleasure.
thank you. Next, LPNA, Barbara, our treasurer, will give an update on what our plans are as a neighborhood association to improve our neighborhood and beyond. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, can you put up the slides, Karen?
Just a moment. Drafts. Okay.
Here we go. Let's go past the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to talk about recent activities in the park and our plans for the new Rose Garden in 2025, and then future events. So go ahead. Next slide. Just last Saturday, we put up in the park a new notice board. LPNA didn't put it up. We've been advocating for a new notice board for a while. It was actually put up by a Boy Scout group who are working on an Eagle Scout project. And this was I think since we've been so vocal about wanting to do this, we got the first notice board. So these boys are going to be doing it in a number of parks going forward, and this was the training session. So, but since the city was now buying, or the Parks Department was now buying the notice boards, we could afford to use the money in our grant instead to put landscaping around. And in the far right corner, you can see some white circles in the ground. That's where the decorative landscape rocks are going to go. And so we're going to put landscape rocks and plantings around the notice board for a couple of reasons. One, keep people away from the notice board. Also to make it more visible and less likely that somebody runs into it by accident or something. So and also it will be hopefully an attractive feature in the park. So that's going to be the rocks are being delivered. The boulders are being delivered either tomorrow or Monday. So next slide. So in the restrooms, they've had in the park, they've had an ongoing problem with the towel dispensers, that people steal all the towels, or they rip the dispensers off the walls, or they put graffiti on them. It's been a constant. It's constant. It's a nice feature, but it's a constant problem. So they've going to I think for all the parks. They're going to a new system where they have to put in ductwork and it has to be electrified. So there's a fair bit of work to get it installed, and it's an air blowing system, and all that appears inside the restroom is a button on the wall, and the air comes out immediately below it. But there's nothing for anyone to take away that would gain them anything. So hopefully, and nothing really worth putting graffiti on. So hopefully this will get rid of some of the nuisance in the park restrooms. And I put a close-up picture because it's a small thing, and people are going to look for the paper towels and say, what? There's no paper towels, and until they find the right button to blow air on their hands. Okay, next. So we have a new grant that begins April 1st that will run until March of next year. And in it, we have $1,200 for a landscape project in the area. It's a circle in the park that is right in front of the tennis courts. And we plan to put in a rose garden. We didn't want to be that specific in the grant application just because then that ties you down. So I try to make the description in the grant application as generic as possible in case our first choice doesn't work out. But I think we have a good chance of getting the rose garden to happen. It's not going to cover the whole circle. The current plan is there'll be arcs of roses around a semicircle around the structure that has been there forever, probably since the park was installed, and nobody knows what it means. But it's been there forever. And so we're not taking it down. We're going to incorporate it into the rose garden. And then we're also thinking of perhaps some walking paths through the circle to go and admire the roses, and possibly a bench or two. Some of that will depend on what Parks has in inventory and what we can get funding for. Yeah, so that's what my last slide is, fans of roses. We're looking for anyone who knows anything about roses, because I'm the gardener, but I don't know much about roses. And I mean, I'm the LPNA. I'm not the park gardener. I'm LPNA's gardener. I installed the native plant garden in the park. But I'm looking for new people who are interested in roses and would like to help get this project off the ground. And yeah, I know. I'll get to it in a second. And the planning is probably going to start in April. So yes, you do.
So my question is that circle area and the wood structure, is it significant for some reason? Or is there a better area to put the roses? Because that area there, in comparison to the park and where the kids are and where the majority of the people, that at least that we see flocking towards, that's the back and it's hidden and we don't even go back there.
But the tennis courts get a tremendous amount of use. There's very large foot traffic for the tennis courts.
Okay.
They're in use constantly. It also, there were a number, we've been trying to put something in this spot for years. There are a number of things that make this a good spot. One is the irrigation cycle. So there are a number of reasons why this spot, but the parks people have agreed that this is a spot that's a good opportunity to do it. And it isn't to the tennis players, it's not the back of the park. To the tennis players, that's the only thing in the park. Any other questions? Okay, next slide. Future events. So tomorrow morning at 8:30, bright and early, if anybody wants to learn about pruning trees, our city forest is going to help us prune the trees we planted 2 years ago. So this is about pruning and guiding new trees to make the tree grow correctly and have a good shape. as it grows. Anybody who wants to watch, observe, we're not required. We don't have a big need for volunteers on this, but it's a learning opportunity in case anybody's interested. You just show up in the park at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Second event is a little further in the future. April 19th is the Great American Litter Cleanup. We participated in that for the first time last year, and we are going to participate again. I believe it's being run a little differently. Previously, our main contact was the council member's office. They'll still be involved, but I think there's some other coordinating element that gets involved in it. But it's going to be in the same place. We set up registration and tool pickup and trash bag drop off between where the park intersects with Los Paseos Elementary, so right in front of the restrooms. And we'd like to get we had a good day that day, but we'd like to get more people involved. And we're going to focus on litter pickup in the park and on Bernal Road and Bernal Way. We'd like to have a dumpster day in the future, and we're working with a new funding source in the mayor's office, the Together SJ program that has been spearheaded by Matt Mahan's office. And there's an opportunity to not use up our council members' budget for a dumpster day for us, and they have a state grant. So if we can arrange to get the state grant to fund the dumpster day, that means more funds available for other things in the district. So. And then National Night Out is our big event of the year. We had over 650 people attend last year. It's a great party in the park, and it happens on the first Tuesday of August every year. And this year it's on August 5th. So that date won't change. That's the national date. And so people can put that in their calendars now if they want to. Any questions from anybody? Yes.
This feels weird. So about the litter cleanup.
Yep.
Is there a possibility that we can have more of those days in a year?
We could. We could.
Okay.
It's a matter of getting out, being able to get out the volunteers. For this one, because it's a bigger process, there's a little more facilitation where we get the vests and the picker-uppers and the bags delivered to us, and they come and they pick up the trash for us. So it's an opportunity for us to volunteer and do this with other people doing the behind-the-scenes work of organizing it and getting us the equipment and taking the trash away and stuff. So that's one reason that this is a good thing to participate in, because it's frankly they make it easier for us. But it is possible to do it on other days. There doesn't tend to be a lot of litter in our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is pretty clean. I don't think there's a demand for it, but on the edges of the neighborhood, on Bernal Road in particular, some places on Santa Teresa, and in the park, there are opportunities for picking up some litter there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Barbara?
Yes.
Barbara, I have a note. Somebody on the chat, I just want to make sure we're not, we're incorporating the people that are on the Zoom. So Sarah mentioned that roses can require a lot of maintenance and require regular watering, maybe consider a succulent garden. So
okay, we are partnering with the person who runs or manages, from a horticultural point of view, the municipal rose garden, and he has put rose gardens in. He's been doing it for 20 years, and he has put new rose gardens in multiple parks, and he has a lot of experience in knowing which roses to plant and which roses not to plant, and when to plant and how to water them. He has a system, and he will be sharing that information with us. And he has a source for what he considers to be the right roses, the ones that don't require, that are resistant to pests and that don't require a great deal of maintenance and are hardy for our environment. So we are going to some extent, for the initial installation, we're definitely going to be making use of his knowledge and expertise. And I certainly wouldn't know which roses to pick to plant. And it's nice that he has 20 years of experience for what works in our area.
I have a question for Sarah. Sarah, are you related to Patrick? Maybe you could unmute. Because we'd like to, if you have any further questions on this, you can contact us.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Sarah's husband, Tim.
Okay.
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Patrick is my father.
Oh, okay. I have him on my lists. That's what I was curious about. So nice to meet you on this meeting.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for having it.
And if there aren't any other questions, that wraps up the LPNA update.
Thank you, Barbara. Next, Joshua. From PremierOne, gonna give us really good update on how to prevent fraud from creeping into your life.
All right.
Okay, just give me a moment to, I had this presentation pulled up and I just want to make sure I find the right one. So just bear with me here.
Sure, no problem. For the meantime, I'll just introduce myself. First and foremost, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us and being a part of your meeting tonight. My name is Josh Castillo. I'm with PremierOne Credit Union. We're just right down the street on Via Del Oro. We're your neighbors. And so I happen to look familiar. I've actually been taking part of the National Night Out event for the past 3 years, actually. So Barbara's invited us for the past several years. So I personally attended the National Night Out events at your guys' park. So we're happy to be here. Accompanying me is three other representatives from the credit union. We have Gina Skies in the back here. And the two ladies in the corner here, we have Monique Cisneros-Snyder and Carrie Brandt. They're both part of our BSA risk department. So any specific questions or concerns above my pay level, these ladies will be our resources for tonight. So for tonight's topic, I can start whenever. I'm fine.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's asking for a password.
Is there an option for read only?
Yes. Sorry. Okay.
All right.
Okay, and then let me turn on screen share.
Yeah, right.
I'm
I'm assuming that was a test.
Okay.
All right. Tonight's topic. Yes, there we go. Thank you so much. Identity theft and fraud prevention. Who here has been a victim of identity theft or fraudulent activity? I certainly have. So unfortunately, yes, unfortunately, a very common occurrence. So tonight we're going to talk about ways to prevent identity theft and fraud prevention, and also ways, if it does occur, what you can do, what resources you have, how to recover from these situations. Go ahead and change the next slide, please. So tonight we should have a better way and sources to identify signs of identity theft and fraud, examine different types of identity theft and fraud, identify strategies to protect yourself from identity theft and fraud. So those would be the areas we're going to touch up on pretty heavily, just because there's a lot of different resources, a lot of different ways to be able to track your activity. Learn how to protect your data using safe habits, and of course, identify strategies to prevent fraud. So let's get started on identity theft. So true or false? There's a victim of identity theft every 2 seconds. Unfortunately, yes.
True.
Someone's identity just got stolen right now. You are more likely to have your identity stolen than have your car stolen or home burglarized.
True.
Yes.
True.
And there's a number of different reasons for that too, just because there's a lot of really sophisticated ways for people to get your information through email, through phone calls, by picking up your voice from different videos. We're going to touch into that in a little bit here, but it's very, very easy to be able to fall for these types of situations. And unfortunately, there's a lot of situations where we are openly giving out our information. And because we're receiving phone calls, emails from people we think might be someone that's reliable, and unfortunately, it's not. So we're going to discuss some of those as well. So some of the do's and don'ts to protecting yourself against identity theft: monitor your accounts. Monitor your accounts, credit reports, and credit scores. So at the credit union, we always give advice to be able to keep track of your activity through online banking, keep tracking of your transaction history, going through your statements. You having a up-to-date verification on those just allows you to be able to keep track of your activity better. Monitor your financial statements, practice online safety. So what does that mean? Is to be able to use safe passwords. Make sure you're not putting your personal information in websites that are maybe not safe or maybe not as reliable. Secure important documents at home. So if you have a safe or you have a filing system at home, your social security card, any other personal information, you want to keep those safe and secured. Be aware of your surroundings as well too, please. Some of the don'ts: don't use public Wi-Fi, usually not recommended, not as secure as your own personal Wi-Fi connection. Do not click on any unknown links. That's one of the most common phishing attacks, where you receive an email, what looks like from a legitimate source, legitimate person. Their intent is for you to click on their links or attachments. And so I've seen one for a member of ours. He came in with an email and it had a tracker. It said, your purchase is almost complete, and it had a meter and showed a meter saying you're almost there. So click here to complete your purchase. And I told him, delete that. Do not talk to them ever again, because they're trying to get you to click on something that's unsafe. Once you click there, they got your information. So if you recognize anything similar to that, just completely avoid it. And then don't open a suspicious attachments as well too. All right. So ways to protect yourself from identity theft: credit monitoring services. There are plenty of resources for this. At the credit union, we have a source through Savvy Money. And so through our application, you could be able to use the credit sense source to be able to monitor your credit. So without it hitting your credit score and hitting your accounting as an inquiry. So through this credit sense source, you can view your account, your balances that you owe, where your lenders are, if there's any recent inquiries, if there's any derogatory. If you're a good borrower and you see derogatory delinquencies, that's something you probably should look into, because if it's not yours, then you need to report that. So having that sourced through our application is a good way to be able to keep track on that. Other sources, pretty common one, pretty well-known one, Credit Karma. So if you use Credit Karma, that's a good way to be able to keep track of your credit. Also through the 3 specific credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, you can create profiles online to keep track of each credit bureau. You can go on to each credit bureau and to freeze your credit as well too. So it's a very, very reliable resource. If you suspect some kind of activities going on that's not yours, go on there. You can be able to track to see if there's any occurrence, or just to be safe, you don't plan on borrowing, you can go on there, freeze your credit at any point, and unfreeze it as well too. And so there's sources for identity monitoring services you can look into. We discussed freezing your credit if you feel it's necessary, and setting up fraud alerts. So I'll dive into fraud alerts in a little bit here. So now, fraud prevention, protecting your personal information, pretty straightforward. do not share any sensitive details. A very common one is like I mentioned, emails. Receiving phone calls that you're not really certain where they're from, where the source is. They're trying to get information from you. If you answer your phone, they can very well manipulate you to thinking that they're a part of a like a credit union. We've had one recently, someone attempting to pretending to be their credit union representative, and our member came into us just the other day to ask us if I believe the name was David Frost. Do we have a David Frost at the credit union? We said we do not have a David Frost. Whoever that is, do not have any further communication with them. And luckily, he didn't give out any personal information, but we've seen many cases where they give out account numbers, social security numbers, because they thought it was a reliable source. So that is something to be cautious of. Phishing scams, emails is a hot one where even in your personal emails, you see something where it looks legit, it looks like it's from a real person. If it's suspicious, you probably have certain reason to be suspicious. Create strong passwords. Your passwords should be something complicated for anyone else to figure out. If you're using Josh 1983 exclamation mark, that is not a good password. So please use something that's going to be very specific to you. For most websites, will have like a tracker that says that gauges the strength of your password. If it shows weak or shows okay, you may want to reconsider strengthening it to be able to be a little more difficult to dive into. Monitor your accounts, shred sensitive documents, any documents you feel it's outdated. You may not have any use for them. Shred them. At the credit union, we have a shred event every year to allow our members to come in, bring in these documentation they no longer need. Electronics as well too. But for the most part, any old documents you no longer need, you can bring them in and shred them in. And report any suspicious activity. Any activity you feel just doesn't feel right. If it's with your financial institution, that would be highly recommended to alert us. The more information we know, the better we can be able to be prepared to help you out. Yes. Sure. Yes. So, Jen, you want to ask again?
My question was on strong passwords. I've heard that you should change them frequently. I don't know how frequent that is, but why, if you have a real strong password that's like long and complicated, why do you need to change it?
Yeah, a general rule of thumb would be within a 12-month time frame, as far as updating your passwords. As far as as far as why you'd want to keep doing it. If I can have that in some resource over here to be able to provide any further clarity. Yeah, I figured, Monique, you probably see these cases pretty frequently. You might be better suited.
So there's also times where other institutions can have breaches in their security. So if they have a breach in their security, your password is going to be compromised. So you want to make sure sometimes, and some sites actually tell you your password has been compromised. Maybe don't use that password anymore. I would just say just update it, every so often. And so for passwords, I would also say passphrases is great. So instead of just a password, you could put a phrase that doesn't make sense to anyone else. So instead of saying, I love my cat or something like that, put cat love I, make it different, make it something that someone would never think. But if there's any institution or not institution, but company that you used your password with and it was compromised, that's why we would want to, switch it up and just in case, because you never know.
Thank you, Monique. Yeah. All right. Anything else in regards to passwords or on this slide? Okay, I'm ready to move on. one thing to be cautious of is the way this way a scammer tells you how to pay. If you purchase something from online, it's a very common way we purchase the products. They tell you the only way for them to accept payments by cryptocurrency, by wire transfer through like a Western Union or a MoneyGram. A little bit suspicious. So always be aware of how they're speaking to you and how method of payments. If they're asking to pay through a payment app like Venmo or Zelle, that's not what those resources are for. So Venmo and Zelle are for mainly for individuals that you do know because you know it's safe. So if you're buying something from online and they say, I need you to pay me in Zelle or Venmo, probably not the safest way to go about it. It's especially if you don't know who that individual is. So not the most recommended payment method, but it still happens though. And never deposit a check and send money back to someone. They if they're telling you we need you to clear this check so we can disperse funds out, that's an automatic red flag. We've seen these cases as well too. And the more questions we ask, the more we realize they don't understand why they're doing it. And if that's the case, highly recommend just completely disregard it. Okay. All right. So we discussed a little bit about polishing your password, using strong passwords to be able to protect your sign-ons. Do you have any passwords that you use on multiple websites? It's very, very common for us to be able to use the same password for your Amazon sign-on, for your Comcast sign-on, for AT&T. It's usually recommended to differentiate, use different passwords. That way, in the event one password's compromised, then you're not affecting other sites that you may be using the same password on. And another question to consider is how would you be impacted if your passwords were compromised? So that falls on the same line. Could fraudsters access multiple platforms using that one password? So differentiating them, but also making sure that it's something that's related to you. One thing that I would recommend is there's little books for passwords. You can store them. So that way, if you're creating all these different sign-ons, you have different logins, user ID, and passwords, keep them in a safe book. These books are available through Amazon, Staples. Keep it safe, keep it a safe place. Whenever you need to change it, you can just go on there and just update your password. So that way you don't have to memorize all these different sign-ons. So I mentioned fraud alerts a little bit earlier. So you can set up text alerts from your bank account applications. So through these alerts, you can set it up to where you get notified whenever there's any activity on your account. You can set up for a certain dollar amount, anything $100 or more. You get a text message or an email alert. You can set up for any activity coming out of your account. That way you can track and make sure that and verify that it's you. So there's a number of different ways to set up these types of alerts for any deposits, so you know when your funds are coming in, any activity through your credit cards. So that's a really good way to be able to keep track of your accounts if you're not actively verifying your accounts online. So most financial institutions use an extra verification source for you to sign on to, whether to sign on online banking or to sign on to a different site, and they'll send you a verification code to your email or to as a text alert, just for extra security to make sure that this is you that's signing on. And recommendation, self-explanatory, but of course necessary to say, do not give that passcode to someone else. If you're signing on, that passcode is specifically for you and not recommended for you to hand it on to someone else. Ignore it. No. If it's a safe place, then you can use good judgment. All right. So we discussed, we can go back to the previous slide. So we discussed briefly, next one after that, please. Do not click on any suspicious text messages, emails. That's as far as for your protection, obviously. If it's from a phone number that sounds recognizable, but is not a part of your everyday contacts, you have right to be suspicious, especially if there's a link attached to it. Email through text, there's often links attached to the text as well. Did you have a question?
I don't know if this is the previous slide or the one that is coming right after this, but it says do not use Zelle with people that you do not know. But I use Zelle for like Facebook Marketplace
Sure.
purchases, even if it's with a neighbor that I still don't know. Zelle or Venmo. Are we really not supposed to use that?
Zelle was intentionally to be for you to be able to send to friends, family members, people that you're associated with. So now it's up to your discretion if that's your preferred method of payment. We're simply recommending that's not the best payment method. Even through Zelle, it'll ask you one last time, are you absolutely certain you're going to send these funds out? Because if it's fraud, there's no way for you to retrieve that because it's essentially like a wire transfer. Once it's out of your account, there's no, even if you come to us, because we offer Zelle through our accounts as well too, you come to us, say, oh, this person is not the right person. I didn't mean to send it to this person. Then we can't really do anything for you because you confirmed it, you authorized it, funds are out of your account, it's gone. So if you want to be absolutely 100% certain that it's going to the right account or right person.
So let's see here. So being that Zelle and Venmo, actually PayPal as well, being that those are directly connected to your bank, does that open up additional areas of potential identity theft and fraud because it's just one hop away from your direct bank?
Absolutely, yes. I'm actually going to reach out to either Carrie or Monique as well because they see these cases very frequently. It's in particular through Zelle. We've had quite a bit of instances with Zelle fraudulent activity. If you don't mind, can I borrow one of you to expand on that, please?
So yeah, with those, in a sense, with Zelle through our application, there is that extra step of security when you're going into Zelle itself. It's going to ask you for that verification code. So somebody can't just get into your Zelle and send out money. But those specifically are for, people you personally know, because if you say purchase something and you're like, oh, they haven't given me my product that I ordered or sent, you have no dispute rights because you've said, yes, I know this person. Same with like Venmo, PayPal. If those do, say your PayPal gets compromised and you have your checking account linked to your PayPal, they can, in a sense, send out all the money they want from your PayPal because it's connected to your checking account. So, but again, that's where it kind of comes in with the passwords. Have a different password for your PayPal, a different password for your Venmo, a different password for your online banking. And you can also set up two-factor authentications for each of those as well.
Can I ask a question? Hello?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so recently I had a situation where I had somebody come in and pick up some trash. We left it out on our driveway, and their job was to pick it up and take it away. And so that question came up about Zelle, and when I was using it, it said be really careful, or maybe I was on Nextdoor or something, and it was like a referral to a company, and so it did warn me. But I'm like, okay, I don't know this person, but he legitimately, and I told him, okay, you pick it up, you send me a picture that it's gone, and I will send you the money. And so I'm a little bit unclear is that putting me in jeopardy, even though it was a legitimate, he did the service, I paid him. And so are you saying that he can actually access my checking account from that situation?
No, we're not saying he can have direct access to your checking account. That message at the very end that says, "Are you sure this is the transaction you want to complete?" You're confirming through Zelle saying, "Yes, I'm giving my authorization to transfer my funds from my account to this individual or this organization, this business that you're doing business with." Now, there are cases where the person you're trying to send funds to, if you're buying from someone online and you don't have any face-to-face contact with them, you don't have any direct contact, you do have no idea who this person is, those are the cases you want to be extra careful about because you don't know what their background is, what their intention is, especially if it's from a website source that's you're not entirely familiar with. We had, I'm sorry, using a number of different situations that come up in the branch. We had another situation where a member came in and they thought they found something that looked reliable. They wanted to buy something for their spouse. Wasn't the most well-known place, but they took a chance. They took a risk anyway. Send the funds. Wasn't accurate, and so we had to sit down with them to be able to do a whole reset on their online profile, to change their email, just because it created unfortunately a mess for their accounts, and we had to do some extended research on that. So the point is to be really cautious about what the payment method is. If you're comfortable enough with the individual who you're doing business with, then you're using your best discretion to be able to process the transaction. Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on a second, Barbara.
Is there a difference in the level of risk if the service has already been performed? You know, I'm not buying something that I'm relying on them to deliver to me. It's a gardener and he's already done the gardening work. So then I've agreed to pay him that amount of money. So I think in that situation there's less risk, but there's more. I would see that more risk if I'm sending money and they're going to deliver a service or a product in
Right.
the future because it may never happen.
Absolutely.
And I can't get that money back.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So to that specific scenario, if you have someone doing some like home renovations or like landscaping, they've already completed the job and you're pretty secure with the business and the individual doing the maintenance, then yes, absolutely. Then you feel pretty secure at a lower risk. Correct. Now, to the other point you're making, you haven't received the product or the service and you're waiting for that to come in. You've already made the payment, doesn't come in, now you're at a much higher risk.
Hold on a second. Teresa, hold on a second.
I see that you mentioned Zelle and Venmo already. What about the PayPal? I use the PayPal to pay many of my bills because I don't feel comfortable to putting my whole credit card on internet with the, you know, expiration date and CVV code. So any idea about PayPal? Do you have a problem?
Do we have any information based on PayPal? I don't really have any personal experience or related stories. I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, I had the same question.
So yeah, so like with PayPal, you have your email usually is like your username, and then you have your password, you log in, it's connected to your checking account typically. If that password gets compromised or your email gets compromised, they can choose reset your password on your PayPal account. That password gets sent to your email. They've, compromised your email. They can then change your password, and because your PayPal is connected to your checking account, they can then send funds out once they've gained access to your PayPal. So it's not that they're in your bank account, but because your bank account is connected to the PayPal, they can then send funds out. But again, they would have to know your password or they would have to know your email.
And there's a dispute process for the PayPal. Venmo or Zelle specifically, when you click on that link that says, I am sending this to the person, I know this person, there's no recourse. Zelle doesn't give us a recourse. They don't let us dispute it. There's no dispute process for it. We would love there to be one, but there's not. PayPal, we can try, but there's just no guarantees. But that also gets into the fact of email compromises. And once you get your email compromised, again, changing passwords and updating passwords. But if that happens, then they change everything on you, right? They change your email password, They could change your email ID, everything like that. And then it turns into a whole nother situation that we have to deal with.
Carol
Thank you.
has a question
Okay, I want to ask you also.
online.
Let me ask real quick on PayPal.
Okay.
You had said that somebody, I have PayPal set up like Teresa does here on quite a few things where I pay through PayPal, and it's linked to one credit card, right? So you're saying that somebody can somehow find out my password in the emails? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that why PayPal is not safe, or should I not use it, sort of thing?
Definitely not saying not to use PayPal. I'm just saying you have to be very careful. So fraudsters are getting very smart, and we don't know how they're getting people's information. Like, I cannot tell you how they are getting your passwords. I have no idea. There's systems that they use. I mean, we're always trying to catch up, right? They're finding new technology, and we're trying to catch up and figure out, how is this happening? Right? We're kind of like a little step behind, but once we find out, we try to battle that. Email passwords have been a thing, or even phones have been hacked. So people have been able to hack people's phones. So if you look, all of a sudden your phone's not working, and it could be because someone has taken over your phone. It's happened. And just always keep an eye out. Like, if my phone's not working, what's going on? Take a look at your activity, all of that kind of stuff. For PayPal, I'm not saying don't use PayPal. It's just keep an eye on your activity. So once you see something that doesn't look correct, let us know immediately so we can shut things down right away. Yeah. I mean,
And that's where
I wish-
alerts can come in. Because you can set up PayPal alerts.
Yeah,
Make
so,
sure you
yeah.
get alerts when something is charged to PayPal.
Exactly. And we have, like Josh was saying, we have a lot of alerts and card alerts at PremierOne. So if you're like, I want an alert every time something gets charged on my card, you will get a text that says, hey, $10 was charged on my card. I didn't do that. Okay, let me, you could shut it down without even calling us. You could shut it down right away without us, and it will be real time. So we have a lot of services like that that will help you. If anything looks wrong, you could shut it down immediately and then call us and we'll help you.
Thank you, Monique.
Can we let Carol ask her question? She's online. Carol, you need to unmute yourself. Wait, Carol, hold on. Can you unmute? You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. One thing's a comment and the other's a question. I've used PayPal for a long time. It's not connected to my checking account. It goes on a Visa. And I've had refunds and they've helped me. They've really been good. I'm not saying something couldn't happen, but I like them, like someone said a little while ago, I prefer them a lot of times than putting those things I have to put in when I'm buying something, with the card number and the CC, whatever it is. So I prefer PayPal to do it for me. The other thing is I use for regular communication with different places, my bank for one, fingerprint. Is that okay to do? I've got fingerprints for certain things. And so I just put my finger on the home screen, fingerprint, and the more newer cell phones don't have the same thing that I have, I think. But so I touch it, and let me tell you, if I put it on wrong, for example, to my bank, like I really put it a little bit sloppy, they won't let me in. It has to be exactly as I've done it with the bank. So it seems all right to do that, but does anybody have a comment if that's okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Always use the security that, I don't know, Apple or Samsung provides for you. So fingerprints or the biometrics. Yeah. So always use that. I mean, if anyone did not have that on your phones right now, that I would recommend you to put it on your phone. Always Face ID, phone,
yes,
fingerprints, everything. Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have another question or another thought?
I just wanted to answer this question, the person, how easy someone can change your password, and don't do that. It's like you want to change the password or you forgot, you click on I forgot the password. Then they said, okay, can we send you the code to your email? And they send the code to the email and you can log in with that code and eventually put a new password to it. But I suggest go home, open the Google and put your name on it. And you will find your email, your address, your cell phone, everything. Okay, so are you familiar with the Norton anti-track? Okay. Do you recommend your customers to install the Norton anti-track on your
Oh, that. Nothing on the virus. Anyone want thoughts on that?
Getting close to the end here.
If it's a legitimate company, Norton, I mean, I'm always just be careful who, if you just get a pop-up or something on your screen that says, I'm Norton, call me, don't click on that. You always want to Google the actual company, make sure it's legitimate, and call them if something is happening. You never want to just, if something pops up, you never want to click on that and take it as true, because it's probably could be a scam and they're just trying to get access to your computer. Which if you store passwords or anything on your computer, then that's where, things are compromised. But I'm not, computer. So then you would probably want to take your computer into like a, ooh, that one, that one I don't know how to remove your name information from Google. I'm sorry. I don't know if there's a way to do that. I apologize. Your information's out there. All of our information is out there. It's just we're kind of in that web world right now. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that one.
That's okay. Thanks, Monique. Oh, sure.
One thing I did after I had a scare, I got a message saying that I'd been compromised. That was actually a scam to get me to click on something. Fortunately, I knew better than to click on it, but I went and changed all my passwords anyway. And then I figured out now, that wasn't really real. But one of the things I did was I finally went ahead and did freeze my credit. And I thought that was going to be kind of a pain, but it turns out they've made it a lot easier to freeze your credit, and it is very easy to unfreeze it if you actually do want to apply for credit somewhere. When I bought my car, I had to unfreeze my credit. It was simple. I could unfreeze it for 2 days, and then it would automatically refreeze again at the end of the 2 days. And they gave me the car, so it worked.
That's great. Thank you for that. If ever you have any concern, I'd recommend freeze your credit. It's so easy. You only have to call one bureau. One bureau will freeze all the bureaus. And you can, like if you want to apply for something, they'll give you a passcode or something like that. And it's simple.
It's instant too.
It's instant. Yeah. So better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to freeze it and so no one messes with your credit, just freeze it. And then if you want to apply for something, give them a call. They'll do their security check and you'll be good. Thank you.
Another note to that, Monique, as well, is if you have, suspicions, or if you were a victim, you can contact the credit bureaus to put a security alert statement on your credit report as well too. And so that notification tells any future lenders to contact your phone number in case someone's trying to use your information to apply for credit. So as the credit union, our due diligence is when we see that message, we need to call that number. And if the person in front of us cannot cannot verify that number, then our job is to stop and to not proceed. Alan?
So have they changed the status of the fraud alerts? In the past, when it happened to me, they said it was only valid for 7 years. Is that still the case, or is it just kind of, you put it on there and it stays there?
I can answer this because I just did it for my mother, who was compromised. It is a 1-year alert that is, you can put it on with no issue. And then you just have to know, hey, I put this on in March next year. I'm going to go in and put it back on again. There's a 7-year alert. That one you have to apply for. I'm assuming you have to contact them and give the reason why you want the alert for 7 years. And then they decide whether or not to put it on. For hers, I did it at the 1 year. And then I just figured we'll go in and put it back in for another year after that. But the one thing that I know with what we did is we froze her credit and we put the alert. I did both. We had to go get her a new phone and they want to pull credit. And they said, is your credit frozen? And I was like, oh, we did that. Yes, let me unfreeze it for you. And then they called her and said, you have a fraud alert. But when we did it, we went to each of the credit bureaus and did it separately at each bureau. So if there's a way that we can, I'm not sure. I know that I had to do it and sign into each bureau to do it. So I don't know. Because if I unfreeze, when a member comes in and says to freeze, but then how do you unfreeze? But if you want to unfreeze just Experian and not the others.
If you have an online profile, you can sign on and then there's an option for you to unfreeze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in each bureau.
Oh, on each bureau.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So. Yeah, we'd have to check and follow up on.
Yeah.
Let me go follow up with you, Josh, and maybe you can pass along the information.
Yeah, sure.
I have your
Before we contact information.
before we move on, there's a couple of questions in the chat that I just wanted
sure.
to bring up. So Susan is asking, she said she does not have a PayPal account, but someone opened a PayPal account in her name. She reported it to PayPal's fraud team, but had no response. How should I move forward to protect myself?
But if they filed a police report yet, that would be probably the next step. Actually recommend a first step to file a police report, just in case any further damage could be done. So if PayPal's not responding, then filing a police report would probably be the next step as well too.
Okay.
That's actually something that we recommend as well too for any fraudulent cases that happen with us at the credit union. It helps us to be able as well to confirm if the individual's not in on it as well too. So that would probably be the first step, especially if they're not getting any response from PayPal directly.
Just a little surprising. PayPal is actually usually pretty good. In my experience, when I've had situations, they've been pretty responsive. So Wyman is asking, for PayPal, rather than linking to checking account, have it linked to a credit card. Is that safer to link to a credit card? I don't know if you answered that already.
I think that will be based on preference. I know a lot of people like to use credit card for those specific reasons, especially for travel. If your credit card is compromised, you can always have that blocked and then get a new credit card. But if your checking account or debit card is compromised, you often have debit card or checking account linked to any auto pays that might disrupt any services that you may have, like for electricity, phone bill. So credit card it's mostly based on a preference. So if you feel that it's safer that way it doesn't compromise any of your actual direct funds, that's definitely advisable.
Okay. And then David is suggesting linking a PayPal account to a credit card that can be turned off and on is a good idea. When you're going to make a purchase, turn the card on, and once the payment has processed, turn it back off.
That's a good thought.
I make so many purchases that would not be practical for me. But okay, let's see. I think there's a couple.
I'm going to jump in here real quick. There are some credit cards that offer fraud protection for purchases you did not make, so you can actually dispute them. I'm not sure if those apply to PayPal, but I imagine they do. So if you use one of those credit cards as your PayPal funds, then any fraudulent charges could be disputed through the credit card,
Okay.
as opposed to having direct access to your checking account, which you cannot dispute. The money goes out, it's gone.
And there's also a couple of notes just about social security accounts that every ISP has data hacks and everybody's social security number is out there at this point.
Yeah. So PayPal, you can dispute. We have a dispute process because our visas are, there's a visa process, right? So we can dispute with Visa. Yes, you can dispute. Yeah, you can dispute. So if it's the dispute process is a whole nother game, but it's if you actively did the purchase yourself, you know, or there's a non-fraud, there's a fraud dispute, it's different. I think this was more focusing on like Zelle, where there is no dispute process. So Zelle has no dispute recourse. Like if you actively said, I am sending my funds to Zelle, I'm sending it to this person. Hey, they didn't come show up and they didn't mow my lawn. I don't know. You can't dispute it. You already sent it to them, and there's a disclosure in the very front that says I did that. So I think we got a little distracted with the PayPal. But if something happens with PayPal, you can dispute it with the credit union, or you can dispute it.
I have a Zelle comment. I sent money to a relative and I didn't take the step of contacting her directly to say, does Zelle still work for you? You're still connected there. And I had sent money to her before, it wasn't a problem. I did it again. And it was a problem because she no longer used Zelle and she no longer had the bank account that it was connected to. So she never got the money. I assume some intermediary along the way gets to keep it, but I couldn't get it back, and she couldn't get it because she no longer had that account, no longer could get to that bank. So one of the things, even if you're using Zelle to send something to somebody you know, I now learned that I need to always check and make sure. By the way, you're still using that Zelle account, right? You know, and that's still a valid way to send stuff to you. And if I had asked her that question, she would have said, "Oh no, I don't use that anymore."
That's a great thought, Barbara. And also confirming that they still actively use it, but also what's their method to receive. Like phone number, email, that way you can confirm it's going to the right individual. That's a great thought.
If the number changes and you send it to the wrong phone number, that person gets the money, and you can dispute it through Zelle. But there is no guarantee you're going to get the money back. They're going to send an inquiry to the credit union or the bank, and if there's money to send back, they'll send it back. But if there's not, yep, Zelle's a tough one, so they got to be careful with Zelle.
We offer Zelle through our checking account, so yes. Next slide, please.
Karen?
All right, there we go. So the AI voice technology. So this one is a really important one that we feel is worth discussing because this is becoming more and more common. So AI technology is used to be able to create and replicate, human-like voices, and they're also created to mimic individuals, like nuances, so the way they pronunciate, to make it seem like you're speaking to that person. And so the voice you're hearing on the other end of the phone could very well sound like myself, but it could very well be someone else. So we bring this up because in the event if this were to happen, there's a couple of different methods that we recommend as far as how to safeguard yourself. So one way to do is to create a code that's secure within your family, your small network of family. Someone calls from a phone number you don't recognize, say, hey, this is Josh. I'm in trouble. I just got robbed. Phone got stolen. Well, wallet got stolen. I need you to wire me some money fast. If they're reaching out to say like my father, he's gonna say, okay, Josh, what's our password? What's our family password? If that person cannot provide that password, hang up. They're done. So it's kind of like a method, an internal network method for you to have within just your close relatives, just to confirm that it's the actual individual that you're speaking with. Does that make sense? Okay. Do not share. This is obviously a recommendation. Do not share any social media content with outside of your family and friends. So what does that mean? So if you're an active user on social media and you want to post anything online, highly recommended that content is only shared with family and friends because fraudsters can use the video content that you're posting and use the voice technology to be able to capture your voice and your nuances and your tone of voice. And so highly recommended. That's any content you put online, you're very careful. That's within, again, a secured network of group of friends and family that you trust. Any questions on this type of, okay.
Question on voice technology you're talking. I think I've seen some input to me asking when I go onto like Schwab account or something to set up a voice password. Is you saying I should not do that?
If it's through like a call center and like you're speaking with them and they're saying it's highly recommended that you have a voice like a verbal password, that's safe because they don't have, obviously you're not person to person. If you create that verbal password, let's say it's like Peacock, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you reach out to them and they're saying, okay, Mr. Peck, it looks like you have a verbal password. We need you to confirm that because they're trying to verify you too. Mm. They're trying to verify, are you Greg Peck? Mm. And so if you can provide that specific password, then they can confirm, okay, this is Greg Peck and we can proceed.
I think what he's talking about is like Charles Schwab and Fidelity have this, a lot of them are adopting this technology where you say, my voice is my password. Yes. And so that's going to be a little more compromise coming up. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to rely on that because it they could get into your whole Fidelity, your retirement account if they mimic your voice.
That's what I was concerned because you're right, Karen. It's like Charles Schwab. They say you can create a password with your voice.
It's not really a password. It's just your voice. It's your like literally when I call Fidelity, it says my voice is my password. That's what I say, and I'm verified based on that sentence. And as the technology is changing, that is going to be a problem.
Are they giving you that as an option?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an option.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it's an option.
Okay.
But I don't think I'm going to go for it
up to your comfort level if you want to use that as your option to sign on. Probably not the best.
Now, yeah. I mean, it wasn't such a bad thing a couple years ago, but now it is obviously becoming a bad thing.
Yeah, I would say I would not take that option because AI doesn't just mimic you. It actually pulls from videos, things that are online, everything, and it will literally be your voice. It is your voice that they are using. So I didn't know about that one. Good to know. I will look into that one, but
yeah,
scary.
Thank you.
Good point, Greg. Okay. On this next slide, in regards to your personal phone, specifically through iPhones, there's an option to be able to that alerts you if any passwords have been compromised through any websites or applications that you have your passwords through. If there's any compromise with those in specific companies, applications, you'll get notification through this feature, and it says recommended to change password, and it'll tell you which sources and which sites to be able to change your passwords on. So it's a good feature that the phones have to be able to make sure that as an extra way to be able to make sure that your information is safe and secure. Next page, please. We're coming to an end here. Some specific steps to take if your ID has been stolen. Collect information. If you know specific about individuals or what websites you're utilizing, the more information reviewing your accounts, the more information you can provide, the better. Organizations, groups to be able to contact, FTC to report to, fraud departments, law enforcement, your local police department. Some other recommendations as far as organizations, the DMV, Social Security Administration, IRS, anywhere where you felt that that has any direct link to your personal information, all those sources would be great to contact and to begin to repair your damage. Next slide, please. Steps to take after fraud has been committed. Previous one, please. Yeah, similar slide. It's to, again, collect as much information as you can. The more information you can provide to us as a financial institution, the better we can be able to assist you. Dates of activity, dollar amounts, merchants, anything that you can provide to us, a time range, a date range, where if you've been at different areas that for visiting, traveling, all that information is really good to be able to help to reduce this risk. To contact your financial institutions, credit card companies, your wallet was stolen, any kind of cards that that was in that wallet, you would want to be able to report that stolen right away. Okay. Next one, please. We're at the end here. So throughout all of that, we hope that you've identified different strategies to protect yourself from identity theft and fraud, and we hope that you have new strategies to be able to protect yourself protect your data using safer habits. Last slide, I believe. Any specific questions that we can help you out? This is our call center number, our business hours for our call center. We have documentation in the back table there that covers the slides that we went over. We have some booklets back there if you want to take over some booklets. Our business cards are back there. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. Again, we're on Via Del Oro. We're literally 2 minutes away from here. So come say hi. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you so much.
We will take some of that stuff you brought over and pass it around to other parts of the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And talk
free to do
about,
so.
tell them about this recording.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. That was great
Thank you.
information.
Thank you for the participation.
Thank you all in the Zoom audience for all your inputs. I think, are we about done here?
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. This meeting is adjourned.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.